story now. Zimbabwean opposition leader Job Sikhala, head of the National Democratic Working Group, is due in court today in South Africa. He was arrested on Thursday in Pretoria while traveling with a relative after authorities reportedly discovered explosives in their vehicle. Joining us live from Harare ahead of the hearing is Isaya Ndawana, national spokesperson for the National Democratic Working Group, to provide his reaction and insight. Isaya, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right, but a bit shaken because of what transpired to our leader in South Africa.
One can imagine. So can you tell us what led to the events of Mr. Sikhala's arrest in Pretoria last week? We know that allegedly there were explosives found in the car that he was traveling in.
It's still very baffling to hear how that went about, but definitely we cannot rule out foul play which is at stake. Because Honorable Sakala cannot be such a foolish man to carry a load of explosives, knowingly that it's illegal. And if he had that intention to have those explosives, he could have maybe used another person. So definitely it was a planned thing, and it was a hedged plan, schemed, and those explosives were planted in the vehicle which he was using in South Africa.
So what would point to that? As you say, the National Democratic Working Group believes that this was a setup and an act of foul play. What points to that? And from which side would that setup be? From South Africa's side or Zimbabwe's side?
Well, in this case, the enemies are at play. Remember, Honorable Job Sakala's house was bombed on the 30th of August. And on the 28th of October, there was a national press conference which was supposed to be held at Sape's Trust in Belgravia, Harare. And before the onset of the conference in the morning, there was a subsequent bombing which was carried out in the early hours of that day. And concurrently in Highfield, a house was also bombed for the person called Mwende. So this was actually a planned thing to link that the activities which were carried back home were done by Job Sakala himself. So they were trying to substantiate, and that was a real reason why they had to plant those explosives in his vehicle.
What can you tell us about his legal defense? He's meant to appear in court later this morning, and how he's doing right now.
Well, he's in good spirits, and the courts or judiciary or justice is going to take its course. And remember, Job Sakala was arrested more than 60 times back home, and he was acquitted on all those cases. So in this matter, we are also praying that justice is going to prevail. And Attorney Eric Mavuza, a South African reputable legal person, is representing our leader, who is the head of NDWG, the chairman and chief facilitator, Honorable Job Sakala. So we pray that everything goes well.
So we know that Mr. Sakala has long been a vocal critic of ZANU-PF. You mentioned there many times that he's been arrested in Zimbabwe. Do you believe his arrest has a political motive behind it? He's been arrested more than around 60, 80 times.
It's obvious that the adversaries or the political foes are really trying to make sure they achieve their objectives to silence Honorable Job Sakala. But that will never be deterrent to us as an organization, because we are supposed to fight for the justice, we are supposed to fight for the democratic cause, which is quite a cause for concern for us as an organization.
How much power does ZANU-PF have in its operations then in South Africa that could help it to implement this politically motivated agenda that the NDWG is citing?
ZANU-PF is quite liquid in terms of finance. They can do anything at their disposal. And they've got a lot of serious intelligence at their domain, which can do anything across the globe, not only across Limpopo in South Africa or back home in Zimbabwe, but anywhere in the world, they've got the capacity to do that.
What message would you have then for Zimbabweans, both here in South Africa and back home in Zimbabwe, as it comes to this case, who are watching it closely and who have been following Job Sikhala's journey in politics?
They must remain strong, and they must unite for the purpose of making sure our democratic space is freed, our democratic space is given the space it deserves, so that the plurality of the democracy is actually pronounced accordingly.
Do you believe he is safe in detention in South Africa rather than where it was in Zimbabwe?
A detention is detention, my sister. No matter in South Africa or Zimbabwe, it's not very conducive to be in a detention or a prison in any given circumstance.
So what action, if there will be, will the NDWG or the National Democratic Working Group take now?
Let's wait and see the course of justice as the court case kicks off today in Pretoria, and would want to see how that progresses. But definitely, Job Sakala is not answerable for those explosives. We have got to pray that justice is going to be delivered at the end of the day.
Do we know the relative who was traveling in the vehicle with Job Sikhala in terms of where they are? Have they also been arrested, and are they safe?
Both of them are in custody, and his relative is Alexander Tema, with age 78 and elderly. Imagine how can that be feasible, that Honorable Sikhala can commit a crime with an elderly in his company. It's very impossible.
Well, this is a story that remains to be seen in terms of where it will go with developments. We'll continue with our coverage of it. But for now, we'll say goodbye to you, Isaya, and we thank you for your insights.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and have a nice day in South Africa.
You too. Isaya Ndawana is national spokesperson for Zimbabwe's National Democratic Working Group on the NDWG, speaking to us live from Harare ahead of the court appearance of the group's leader, Job Sikhala, in Pretoria this morning. Arrested many times. He must be used to this kind of thing. But of course, we'll get more analysis as we look at what this entire story and this arrest and these new developments mean for the political landscape of Zimbabwe. So stay tuned for that.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani.